for me, like not having any, if you ask me, I'm like, yeah, one, possibly two, like in my life, it'd be good. But now having this conversation, I'm like, even one's kind of scary.
What's up, y'all? Just talking about if we're going to change the intro. Because I hate saying that.
Definitely not.
Definitely not going to change.
We are here with our friend Kyle today. We're just kind of he's been our friend for we became friends in third grade. So
Miss Calk days.
yeah, dude. That was 2003. So we've been friends for 21 years.
That's crazy.
I didn't really think about it like that. I didn't know that either.
The majority of the lives.
Yeah, 21 years being Kyle friends.
And well, we were high school. Yeah, it was like right when you came back to Lake 2012. Yeah.
So working on our 13th year.
Be my 13th reason for
Taylor Swift lucky number thing.
yeah.
But anyway, we thought it'd be fun to have Kyle on the pod because we're all the same age, and he's also like us, just trying to do his thing.
Navigate life.
Yeah, navigate life. He's a local real estate agent, so if you're interested in buying or selling a home,
He's your man.
he's your man. But he, unlike Chris and I, we're the same age. He does not have kids, so we're kind of going through this. We're kind of seeing his perspective on life from a different perspective, since we're all kind of in different situations, but at the same stage of life.
Yeah.
So, but we always ask to begin the show, how was your week? Before we get into it.
This past week was very good, which I feel like is like a rarity in the world to have like a very good week. But
Yeah.
I went snowboarding in Vermont and I went to school there, so it was absolutely amazing. It was a little icy. I may have broke my tailbone, but other than that, it was awesome. So I spent the last 4 days up there.
Sick.
Yep.
Sick.
It's awesome.
How about you?
Week was good. I can't complain. I was at work most weekend, but it was a solid weekend. Got some stuff done around the house. Saw Kirsten's grandparents, came over for dinner, cooked dinner, all of the good stuff, and Amelia's been perfect. So no complaints. How about you?
Nice. This is kind of one of pretty low key week. Nothing bad happened, I guess, but nothing crazy either. Just kind of one of those weeks. Just stayed at home. But
Those are good.
yeah, those are good sometimes.
Those are good.
Good change of pace.
Everybody had a good week.
Yeah,
I love it.
Excellent. So I guess the first question that I have for you, Kyle, is how does it look or how does it feel like not being a parent in this stage of life where we're all trying to figure it out, but a lot of your friends have kids?
I have actually given this like a decent amount of thought, but then that thought is the thought is always fleeting me.
Yeah.
Like I'll have the thought and be like, wow, I better either do something or I'm gonna fall behind, like in terms of time. Like I want to be able to raise a kid at an age where I feel like I'm still, I don't know why I always think of like athletically able to hit him with whatever they want to do. But like I want to be able to, I don't want to be the 70-year-old parent when my kid's in high school and I'm like I can't even remember what they need help with on their homework or whatever or anything.
So you do want to be a parent one day.
I do want to be a parent one day,
Okay.
but like I guess I don't know the timing. Like I feel like I'm falling behind, but I also don't want to rush into that.
Yeah.
Just any situation. So
Yeah.
that's my basis of a thought.
Yeah, that's a valid thought. That was something that like I've seen too. Is like watching my grandparents. They had my dad, and he was in his 50s, and my grandma was in her 40s. And so, like for my childhood, they were super old, and like my dad's childhood, obviously, like he graduated high school, and his dad was in the 70s, so it was like very different than like how I was brought up. My dad's just now 60, and I'm almost 30. So
Like I think there's something to be said about it. I've seen friends of mine with older parents, and like maybe it's just a coincidence, but I've seen that like friends with older parents tend to be more mellow and like in my experience like pretty intelligent people. I don't know if it's because like the parent that teaches them lessons has seen everything, so they kind of have like a more wise outlook in how to raise a child. Maybe that'd be the case, but also I want to be able to enjoy raising the kid and not from afar kind of thing, not more of a wisdom perspective. So.
Kind of a random thought, but with those people that you know that have old parents or older parents, are they only child, or are they the youngest, or do they have siblings?
I think of one person in particular. I don't want to name names. It's a friend of mine from Vermont, and he's the youngest. He has an older brother, and his older brother was more like athletic and outgoing. And then my friend, who's the younger brother, he's like super low key, kind of introvert, but very intelligent.
Hey, what's the age gap? Or rough
5 years?
5 years?
Yeah.
I'm just curious because I saw this thing where it said that if you have an only child, the potential for them to be more successful and to be more intelligent goes up like tremendously.
I guess I'm not having another kid.
We're screwed.
Yeah. Like, it was just interesting. I saw like, and I guess if you have siblings, it's not saying that your siblings make you stupid, but it's just the way that you use your time when you have siblings is different, because instead of taking the time to learn, you're just doing things.
No, that makes sense.
So like you just kids who are only children are usually more creative, or they're just more intelligent because they put all their time into like learning and doing versus just playing.
No, what do they say about brothers that are completely different, so they don't spend time together at all?
I don't know. I'm sure there's something. That's why I was asking about your friend too, because I feel like if you have a sibling, I feel like if you're so far in an age gap, it's almost like you're treated the same as the only child.
That makes sense.
Even the youngest, because you're like going through high school by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you still are kind of on your own. But I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting side.
I kind of felt that way because I would never like ask my brother for like, how did you navigate this? Like,
yeah.
Not that I don't respect his opinion on things, but we're just so different that like I know that what he told me or what he would offer as advice, I probably wouldn't listen to.
Yeah.
So
I definitely could see it though, because I mean, with me having I went to high school with Tyler, and then like the three of us are all within 5 years. So I can definitely see how we'd always do things together, but we never took the time to like learn a skill or something, because we were always out in the background playing football or something.
I don't know, man, because if we're talking about your guys' brothers, and you guys mentioned your families and brothers and stuff on here, right? So
yeah.
Name names.
Briefly, yeah.
I was gonna say, cause like I feel like Tyler learned a lot of different skills, like very quickly too. He was like skill oriented.
Yeah. Yeah, he was.
But I don't know how that translates with being a middle child. But
yeah,
I gotta ask J. Cole.
I don't know. I'm sure if you really want to dive super deep into, there's probably so many little tiny elements that impact it. But I just thought it was interesting, but it made sense too.
So can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah, definitely.
So talking about the like amount of kids, you guys thinking about having second children down the line, or
this is kind of
if it's too much, we're cut.
This is like a long-winded thing. It's like Kirsten and I have talked about it. Like Amelia's perfect. Growing up, like my mom was a nanny, owned daycares. I nannied all through high school, stuff like that. And like, I've never dealt with a kid so good. She's so easy, so lovable, kind. Like she just has the best heart. And we had talked like, we'd be screwed if we had another one. The second child will not be perfect. Like he'll be a monster, or she, whatever. And like, we don't know if we want to do that. But then at the same point of like, I want to try for a son.
I'm sorry. It's like hearing you talk about your next offspring is going to be a monster.
Well, we just like, there's no way we get that lucky twice, I guess, is like what we've said the most. It's just like,
well, obviously, like, she's perfect in all these ways, but isn't she perfect just because like you made her? So like you're going to see her perfect regardless. No matter what the child is or isn't, you're going to see them as perfect. Which is why you have bad behaving kids that their parents like still support.
Yeah,
I'd say it's still early.
It is still early, but like I'm just thinking to have all of yeah, because like when she's a teenager, like life could be really hard.
I got another one.
We're redoing this. No, like I think like all of the easy stuff, like her mannerisms, like she's just so good with like everything she does. Like we've had it so easy since 3 months old, slept through the night. Like just those small things. She eats by herself. She's a good eater most of the time. Like she's obviously still has like things that we're like, oh, come on, like that's not the correct behavior, but we correct her, and she's just so good.
So it's like, let's get through this one.
And we'll see where we're at too. It's like also we had talked about like financial standpoint too. So
true,
where I stand on that. Like, yeah, we've spoken a lot about like wanting to provide a high quality life for our kid, and having a second one, like
it might not be as high quality.
Across the board. And it, we'd still give them the love and the affection, everything they need to grow and prosper. But like we think she hasn't even been daycare for a full year. We've spent like $10,000 on daycare. like doing that for another child,
Mhm.
that's a lot of money. So
Fair point.
Every vacation,
yeah, like, you gotta add
another flight, take another ticket on a
You
flight.
may have just talked Caleb out of it.
No, I've already been talked out of it.
I guess we know his
I guess you
answer.
guys know my answer. No, I mean it's kind of like back and forth, but I still definitely feel like I lean towards just having.
Mhm.
I don't know. It kind of goes back and forth because we talked about this in another episode. It's where I first talk about my brothers, and I talk about growing up with siblings and that kind of thing, and then it made me think like I want him to have that too.
Mhm.
But I feel like you're able to develop people, and you can develop friendships in your life that feel like you have the same closeness as siblings.
Yeah,
You just kind of
Absolutely.
like I don't think you need to have a sibling to have the type of relationship. Like I feel like me and Chris didn't really meet till high school, but I feel like if we met when we were younger, like we kind of have like more of a sibling bond versus like a friend bond because like we can say stuff to each other that's pretty harsh.
You wouldn't just say it to anyone.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a point of like a no return with friendship. It's like you care more about the person as an individual than you do the actual friendship itself. So like,
Yeah.
I'll say something because I care about you. I don't care if it hurts your feelings.
Exactly. It's what I mean.
Yeah,
And it's just like when I feel like if I am just understanding of that and see all of his friendships, just make sure he's involved and has people in his life, then he'll still get that, maybe not the same exact relationship, I guess, because it's still different when you live.
I'll be able to mix being a brother and being very smart.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, I just think about the cost of having another kid. And then my friend Andrew, I talked to him, he has 3 kids now. And he said that once you have 2, it is just horrible.
Oh my.
He said he loves his kids, but he said now that you have 3, he said nothing's changed. That you can have, once you have 2, you can have as many as you want. But it's because he had the 2 within like 2 years of each other. So he's taking care of 2 kids at the same time all the time. And so I think it just depends too, I guess, when you have them. But I guess long story short, I just think about me being able to put everything I have into Oliver versus having to divvy things up. But I don't know. I just like the thought of like being simple with one kid. Like I'm going to his games.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to like balance other like he got practice and now they've got practice, like different
I
things.
feel like that's a
Yeah.
thought you don't have until you have your first kid. Like you might even think about it a little bit and you're like, oh, 1, maybe 2. You know, if like for me, like not having any, if you ask me, I'm like, yeah, 1, possibly 2. Like in my life, it'd be good. But now having this conversation, I'm like, even 1's kind of scary, but like definitely still want the 1, maybe not 2.
The problem though is just like it's not just my decision though.
Absolutely.
And the problem is the other half of Oliver, his mom, Taylor, she wants another one bad.
Oh.
Because she wants like this, the stage that Oliver's in right now,
Mhm.
she doesn't ever want to lose that. So she's like, when he gets older, I have to have another one so I can have one still this small.
dude.
So every year, you gotta talk to Phillip Rivers. Get him on the
We like Kirsten saw Oliver like the first time and like held him. She was like, I want one.
Oh.
And I'm like,
Baby fever.
dude, yeah, that's a real thing. Like I told like we've had conversations like when you're over with Oliver, like I do miss that stage, but also like enjoying every stage has been. You're gonna miss everything once it's gone. So it's a heart moment.
Well, no, that's a good question.
I don't know how much more perspective I can offer on the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I understand. And then, so I guess another question I have, it's not really as fan related, but because we're all 3 of us right now are kind of we're obviously still trying to figure everything out. You with in real estate, we're trying to figure out this whole like photography, video thing. I'm just kind of curious of how you felt just the economy in the world of like being your late 20s, because you sell houses, and just so you're kind of in that thick of it of where we're at and just what it's like being in your late 20s with stress for money, trying to, I don't know, get that next step in life, that next stage.
Yeah. It's kind of frightening, but also like kind of freedom and just this in that occupation. I feel like because if things are going well, then you have a bunch of deals running at the same time and money's decent. But in like if rates jump up and things change and people stop buying and then I don't have any clients, all of a sudden it could all go away. So there's the constant like in the back of my mind, like well, what do I need something that's more stable as a secondary income? Do I switch out of this altogether, even though things are going well? Because I know at some point it could not go well. So like getting to the next point is for me, I feel like either just continuing to grow as a real estate agent and learn as much things as I can so I can be a better value to each client, and then I gain more clients based off word of mouth, or switching the whole thing up and then maybe getting the meteorology job and going that route because it's more safe, more conservative to go that way. And what I'll likely do is something in between the two for the next rest of my life. So I don't know.
I think it's interesting getting people's perspectives at our age, because we're kind of, our generation is in this like weird spot where we were, I don't know, like in our 20s when we had a major shift in the economy. So like people who are younger, like they're going to grow up with it. So they're kind of just anticipating, or they like they're, any way to word it, like they're prepared for the conditions of the economy.
I feel like we kind of did too, though. Like we, like when 08 and then you had like the housing bubble and everything went down, like we kind of knew at a young age that like the economy is not where it should be. And our parents always, I mean, at least like people who were older in my life always kind of preach like, man, I don't know what you guys are going to do, like kind of thing.
I feel like I've heard that growing up.
Yeah. So like
my entirety.
So I feel like our generation probably grew up with the idea of like more of a saving mindset. I would hope, maybe not all of us, but I know I was always kind of like, whenever I got money at a younger age, I was afraid to spend it because I was like, I don't know when I'm going to get money again.
Yeah.
I just kind of thinking like to just with when 2020 hit and we just seen like inflation rates go up crazy, just how that's impacted us in the short term, because the majority of us, or our age group, we were already outside of high school.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us have already like started to figure out what we wanted to do as a career path or had ideas of it, whether you were graduated college already or in the middle of college. Just kind of interesting because a lot of us we hadn't found our full-time job yet that we want, but we're already past high school and that college age too. So it's just,
as sad as it is to say, it's almost like one of those things like, you know, when you're forced to deal with a hard moment in your life, and like if someone brings up a situation that you don't think you could ever deal with, and then you have to deal with it, you deal with it.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's kind of what like the COVID setback economically was. It's like, wow, if you'd told me this was going to happen, I wouldn't have known how I would have dealt with it. But then you're faced with it, and it's like, well, now I got to make it happen. Whether that's a side hustle or venturing into something new, or really driving down like something like this for you guys.
Yeah,
this is something you guys always wanted to do, but you needed the motivation to do it. So like it's one of those things for a lot of people where they probably were motivated into something else because they needed to.
Yeah,
that's my blessing in disguise.
Yeah, that's what I think is interesting, is because I feel like everyone I know or I've talked to, either they're not using the degree that they got, or because they're making more money doing it that's not related, or they always have a side job. Like I don't know anyone that just has a straight and narrow path. Like they're just on their career. Actually, we do have one friend, but Tyler. But yeah, he just that means always had it figured out. But anyway, my point is, I feel like I've never really known people who just have one job.
I feel like they're on a path. Everyone you talk to, like even if they do have a 9 to 5, they have some kind of side hustle. That's what you have in their mind. If they're not even, maybe they're not even doing it right now, but they have the side hustle.
Like that's not their 10-year plan.
Yeah,
like their whatever job they have right now is just a means to make it.
Real estate was not my plan. Yeah, it's when like it got sprung upon me, and I was like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm going to do right now, so let's do this. And then it went well, so now I'm doing this. I'm afraid to leave it because it's been well, but now I'm not using the degree, so I'm kind of like at wits with myself, not knowing if I'm going to use it or if like somehow I'm a failure for not using it. I battle with that.
I don't think you're a failure because you just said it, but like most people don't have a job in their degree field, except like, you know, your nurses, like you go to trade school, things like that. That's feel like that's the only thing I see where people are doing that. Kirsten went to school, then was getting her master's, and now works in commercial finance. Like completely different, like 180.
She went to school for speech pathology, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
totally unrelated to business.
Totally unrelated.
Well,
in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, she can talk to people.
I say communication's huge, though.
Yeah. It's just, I don't think you could say that you're a failure for it because, you know, you change perspective. You got a degree. I'd look at myself and like I struggled with telling myself I was a failure because I dropped out of school 3 times. but I don't think I am because it just wasn't the right path for me. And I think about like those life choices you make when you're so young, like you go into college or, whenever you go like 18 to 20 and you're like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And then you're 25 and you're like, it was a terrible decision, but I made it. So now I'm going to find the next best thing.
It's almost like battling with the younger self.
Yeah.
Like knowing like, okay, when I was younger, this is what I saw for myself. And if you're there and you're not doing what you saw for yourself, do you feel like you're disappointing a certain version of you?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like going to college was the worst decision I ever made.
You're disappointed in an older version of you.
Yeah. but the problem is I also didn't know what I know now, because we also kind of grew up like our parents' generation. Truly, like they believed that the only way to be successful was to go to college and become another cog in the machine. Basically, but like back then it was a safe path because it cost $5,000 for 4 years of college, and then you graduate, and then you're guaranteed to have a managerial position in your 20s.
Well, yeah, back then you could pay for college with
and then your job is going to get you a nice car and a house, and you're set. It's a boring life, but it's stable. So it's just, I mean, it's, I guess if you like that life, I'm not trying to hate on it, but that's just
No, there's nothing wrong with it.
But it's just like that mentality just does not work.
It doesn't suffice anymore. That will not work anymore.
But like that's the kind of advice that I got as a kid, and so it was one of those things where like it felt like I had to go to college. I went to college before I even knew what I wanted to do.
When we were in high school, like felt like the only option that was ever preached to us in school, like outside of school. It was like, you go to college, you get a job. Yep. Like there was never a presented opportunity besides that for me. Like I don't remember them talking about trade school, like talking about anything else besides college. And so it was like, I gotta go. I don't think I'll make it, but I gotta try.
I remember in middle school, it was like, obviously like you either go to Polytech or you go to Lake. And I ended up going to Polytech and then coming back to Lake. But Poly wasn't so much, there obviously it was a trade school. So like you went there for a trade, they weren't really pushing college. But then like while I was there, they started like talking about how like, oh, well, the school's just as good for like preparing for college as the other regular public schools are. But like that was the only thing I got about pushing trade was the Polytech thing. Like you either go here, you do this, or you go stay at Lake and you go to college.
I'll say, because when you were in high school there, don't you pick a specific like trade while you're in high school?
But then you have people like me who like just went there just like to try something different, to be around a new crowd.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going into carpentry. And I've never used, I built some cornhole boards, but outside of that, I never really used.
It's hard too, is like, you start high school at 14 and they're like, hey, I want you to pick a niche.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you better hope you like it, because, you're going to learn this for 4 years. And then most of the time people are like, well, I know it and I'm comfortable, so I'll pursue that further along my life. But talked about battling your younger self.
Yeah. I think it's evident with everybody. Like we were talking about earlier, how we don't know anyone that's using their degree. I think part of that might just be opportunities right now with the way the world is, but also it's also when you hit your mid-20s, you finally start to realize, oh, I actually want to do this.
Mm.
Because I didn't know I want to do it in high school. Like if I went back to my older self, I would have started using a camera a lot more in high school, and then tried to like get involved with doing photography and videos for like school events and stuff. And I also probably would have went to like mechanic, try to become a mechanic, go to trade school for being a mechanic, just because I really want to work on trucks and stuff. But now I feel like I'm so far past that, and like I don't have the time to even go do that type of stuff. Like it's just different, like perspective on things.
Yeah,
it's always going to be hindsight's 2020.
I feel as if I'm prioritizing, like in sticking with real estate and the freedom that it offers if things are going well. I feel like I'm afraid to leave that, not only for financial freedom or financial like stability, but in terms of like prioritizing my life enjoyment.
Yeah.
Because of the freedom that it affords me on occasion, I'm able to go do things like the snowboarding trip that I did. And I know that if I go to another 5, I may lose some of that freedom. And I don't know. That's kind of like holding me back from doing. I wanted to do meteorology since I was a kid. Like 6 years old, like I'm watching the Weather Channel, falling asleep to the jazz on the local on the 8s, and so now I'm like avoiding that dream of mine, even though it's been there forever. Because now that I'm getting older, I'm prioritizing enjoying my life while I can.
I'm glad you said that.
No, dude, we've been having this conversation with like Kirsten's sister. She's in high school and like trying to figure out what she wants out of life. And she was like, well, I want to do this thing. And Kirsten like dropped this bomb. She was like, well, you have to go for a job that you like will support the lifestyle that you want to have out of your life. Like she was like, I want to be an ag teacher. She's like, cool. So how many ag teachers are there in the state of Delaware? It's like one. Lake Forest has an ag department, and that's it,
I
right?
thought there'd be more than that.
So say there's 4. Out of all
they're small.
yeah, well, like you think of like all the schools, or even if you go out to other states, like not every school will have this. So like you're fighting for a job, and then what's your pay as a teacher? Garbage.
Yeah.
And it's like you want this specific lifestyle, but you will never afford that off of this. And it's like,
unless she gets a rich husband.
yeah, well, there's always that. It's just like they don't talk about that. Like, hey, this is like the reality of what the kind of lifestyle you want to live is, like how much that cost. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not talked about enough. Like you were talking about the financial freedom to go do things. You wouldn't have that if you did your safe job.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't know. There's just so many things to think about. I just feel like at that age, you're just not prepared to make those decisions.
Sometimes I feel like I'm still not.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna look back. We're gonna look back on our late 20s and our mid 30s or the 40s and be like, man, I would have done that a little bit differently. Or,
Yeah.
we're lucky with that one. That's definitely
It's just it's always gonna be hindsight 2020. But to kind of go back to your freedom statement as well, I think it's funny because now that we're dads, and you're talking about wanting to be a parent eventually, like that's obviously gonna have a huge impact.
I know. That's I think about that. So that's why, like, before I get to that point in my life, there's a lot of things I want to do, but at the same time, I know I can't, like, if I'm gonna do that, have a kid. I mean, if I'm gonna have a kid, I can't wait forever to like try to get to that point.
Yeah, but at the same time too, though, is once I look at it as too, once Oliver's older, I get to have this person that I get to show these things that I like to do with my free time.
Yeah, that would be a dream. Like that would, to be able to live the life that I want to live and then bring your child along with you is like the ultimate dream. I feel like
definitely like the first few months of being a parent, pretty rough when it comes to like sleep and just time in general. But I feel like that's what I'm excited about is once he's older, is getting to show him those things. Like when I go do things, I can just take him with me.
Yeah,
it's not like he's not like going to be. It's not like I can't go do this because I have to watch him. He's going to come with me.
Yeah, well, you guys talked about this on the last week's episode, talking about like how a lot of people who don't have a kid think that like, this kid just always going to be able to come along with me right from the start. And obviously you guys are working through the stage now. Like that's not even remotely possible.
yeah,
Like you can do local things. Like you took the trip to Cape May on the ferry and whatnot. And then, you did, we talked about before we started, you went to Colorado. That's a big trip.
Yeah.
But
it was tough.
Yeah, it was very hard to do. So like that's not going to happen all the time.
Yeah.
But eventually you guys will, get through the first few years of parenthood and you'll be able to go do a lot of cool things. I mean, you took Amelia to Disney. That's awesome.
yeah, she's
Twice.
twice. Yeah, she's gone twice. And then she's gone. Kirsten has work trips. We've gone to Texas. We went to San Antonio. We went to Nashville.
Well, see, if work takes you there, that's
Yeah, see, that's what's cool too. Is like her work.
If you churros down
I said no.
then it's not getting
We yeah, and it worked. It wasn't easy, but like again, the whole trip was completely different than it would have been if it was just Kirsten. Like if I didn't have Amelia, I wouldn't have been like at the water park and the resort the entire time for my trip in Texas. Don't get me wrong, it was great. I sat by a pool and had a beer every day while my wife worked. So
the coolest thing I think that I heard you say about it was like when you're older, I mean, when you go to Disney, it's either going to be nostalgic from a childhood or you live the magic right there. And you got to watch Amelia live the magic of it. Yes. Probably awesome to see as a parent.
dude, it's
probably more fun than
more fun than enjoying it yourself. See someone else really like believe that stormtroopers are coming after her.
Yeah.
Maybe that wasn't the most fun part, but like,
Yeah.
I've ever said she was like scared of them.
Yeah, she was scared of them, but like the whole like fake snow and stuff like that, she was enthralled. Like loved the frozen stuff. Being able to watch her light up, that wasn't
Just
just
super confused when it snows and it's really cold.
yeah. No, that stuff is great. It's just I love Disney as like a 20-year-old. Like when I went with my parents, like that was fun because I got to do all the enjoyment stuff. I got to hit all the benefits it had with not, a cranky child at a 1 p.m. who needs a nap desperately, but we got lucky that Amelia just fell asleep in the stroller. Yeah, or I had my sister to help, so I was like, hey, she was like, I'll take Amelia while she naps. You go enjoy like this short time, but yeah, no, Disney's cool as an adult with your kid. Real cool.
It's cool when it's just 2 adults too that you go.
Yeah, the adults.
I like how we talk about like trying to like prioritize having fun as an adult. And you guys spent so much time just at Disney because you live nearby. It's like you had fun at least 3 times a week because you went to Disney that much.
Man, hey, we were like in our early 20s.
So what, 22?
Yeah, we were just serving. We were both serving together, so we had the same schedule. It was just like it made it so easy. Don't get us on the St. Augustine too.
No. I'm gonna pull Glenny balls and eat a beatles.
Yeah. Oh man.
I guess
Tabasco Slim Jim's not sponsored by the show, but it would be nice if they could be. Iconography of giving you,
and they're a little bit too hard to find.
Chicken Man.
Yeah, Chicken Man and Over we're lucky.
Don't sleep.
But yeah, I guess all that being said, our conversation kind of, I'd like to know like your full perspective now on like parenthood in general, and I don't know, like your thoughts. I know you said you obviously want to be a dad.
I think, well, yeah, I definitely want that for myself at some point, and like I don't want to put a number on it. That in my mind, back on mine, I feel like 35 is like if I'm older than 35 when it happens, I'm too late.
Yeah.
But the good thing is about watching all of my friends become parents is I'm going to learn something from all of you guys. So maybe I'll be a great parent, or maybe I'll be a terrible parent because I'm trying to emulate the best parts of you guys as parents the whole time instead of just like doing what's right for my situation. But I feel like it's a good thing. I feel like it's going to be awesome watching you guys become parents and just take in as much as I can, learning from the mistakes that you guys, well, not mistakes, I know what you mean, but like,
No, it's inevitable. But
you will go through and see how you guys handle it. I'm going to learn from that.
So
That's my perspective. It's my perspective. As the friend who doesn't have any kids and doesn't see any on the horizon, I get to see what it would be like through you guys. It's kind of like not having a dog growing up. I didn't have a dog growing up, so like I love your dog. Cody's awesome. Laney greets me at the driveway every time I pull up, and I feel like I either have to stop and let her in, or it's like, and she's gonna be right there.
Yeah, she'll be right there. I think it's cool too. Is like, I mean, you have a bunch of people who you trust, like becoming parents, so you can ask the hard questions that maybe you don't feel comfortable like asking, either your parents or other parents of like an older generation. Because I feel like our perspective is probably, vastly different than like our parents. Like sometimes I'll ask someone who's a parent of a 3-year-old now instead of asking like my parents a question, just because I know like the perspective will probably be a little different. It's good to get both, but sometimes it's more applicable because they're closer to my age. I don't know. I feel like there's some differences in that.
And like I always think about like my mother, like parents that stick together, and like my mom basically raised me and my brother by herself. So, props to her. She killed it in the parent role. So like I want her perspective, but at the same time, like if things go well, I'm not going to be a single parent.
Yeah.
That's something I guess you got to think about.
Yeah, it's true.
It's
true. So cool. So we wrap this up.
Yeah, I think that was that was cool. It's so interesting to hear.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah,
not even based on the topic. I just want to do this because like watching you guys' show. Sup, y'all? I just wanted to do it. I wanted to start, but you started with it. I don't want to be the finger guns too.
I just think I always just laughed and I'm like, don't do it.
No.
But anyway, knife check.
Dude, I don't have.
It's fine, you're not that.
Oh, it's on my dresser. I run him and grab it. Got my name on it.
I'll do a quick little shout out. I literally had my manager at work who watches the podcast. He came up to me and goes, knife check. I was like,
Really?
That's awesome. Is it a switch? You get it.
yeah, I can't do it.
Nice. That's a dad.
Stepfather.
I ain't going nowhere.
All right. Well, we'll see you in the next one.